Hey everybody, how's it going? Brett Tadlock, TN Artist here. We're going to jump right into this one. I've got Rebelle 7, 8 inches by 10 inches and 150 DPI. We're going to go ahead and jump in and kind of play around with some stuff. I think you're going to enjoy this one. So I'm going to load up a stencil or two. Let's see. Go with space. And water. And that'll work. All right, so let me hide water. There we go. Let's move space. Let me zoom out a little bit. Press Shift and stretch it to the right. Move it over just a little bit. And zoom it back in. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab... I've got this on the metal colors from where I've worked with them before. I'm just going to leave it there and grab this aluminum. And we'll go with... I've got this textured filbert brush that I've just made, which I think I'm going to put out there for everybody. So we'll just leave it with that for now. We might change to oil and that kind of stuff too, but we'll just leave it with this one. So we're going to turn the water down and just kind of throw these in here real quick. There we go. Right click on it and backspace. All right, now let's make a new layer. And let's go with all right, tilt. I'm just going to take this and throw some rough shapes here. This is kind of a fun brush. I think you guys will like it. Just some cloud shapes that are going in here. Okay, put it on 4. And I'm going to bring that size way down. Undo that. Just kind of throwing in some quick cloud shapes. We can soften and worry about the fact that you can see the stars and all that here in just a second. The nice thing about this is that it does thin it out, which lets it naturally blend kind of with the background. That. It'll kind of give us that windswept kind of look. Sorry for the creaky chair, but haven't had time or money to do so. Okay. Alright, I'm going to grab the blending brush, blend these just a little bit more, just to soften it some. There we go, something like that. I'm going to come back down here to this layer. And I'm going to press B to go back to my brush, and I'm going to put it on 5. And I'm just going to go over kind of erase some of these stars. This is why I wasn't overly worried about them. And you can even erase lightly so you can still see them a little bit through some of the cloud. That gives just a little bit more dimension. But then what would obviously be the thicker parts. See, like these, I can just kind of go over a little bit. Actually, let me undo that. Drop the opacity down. Back up. There we go. Something kind of like that. And I think on this one, what I'm going to do here is let me kind of, see, I don't need this ruler, so I can see a little bit more of this. And I'm going to grab a little bit of this yellow gold. I'm going to blob that in there. Put the gold. Blob that in there. Gold warm. Up here. Come out a little further with it over here. Okay. And let's blend that real quick. I'm blending it from the yellow out into the other, or from the lighter gold, whatever, to the other gold. Along the lines of that. Just kind of clouding this out a little bit. I want this to be really kind of wispy on the sides here. Okay. I'm going to grab the circle, holding shift, bring it out. Maybe something like that. A little bit smaller. All right. Now I'm going to take this silver vintage, color that in like so. I'm going to switch back to my selection tool. Bump it over ever so slightly. Fill that in a little bit. And grab maybe some of this ruby dark. A few spots here and there. 4. Like that. Just kind of give some pot marks here and there. Excuse me, just want a little bit of texture. I'm going to do Shift Control I. And change that over. So now the outside is selected. I'm going to go back to this silver. I'm going to switch to the airbrush a little bit. And right here, I'm going to airbrush this in. Just like that. I'm even going to bring the opacity up more. Maybe something along those lines. I'm going to push 4. And I'm just going to kind of streak this out from that spot. That gives me a little bit lighter yellow. Then I'm going to push 1. I'm going to come along this edge again, kind of clean it up. And put another bright spot right there. And then just kind of come out from it. Something kind of like that. Now I'm going to make a new layer above it, and I'm going to jump over here. And let's go with luminosity. And add in some really bright spots there. I'm even going to switch colors here a little bit, so I can add maybe a little bit of this reddish color in here, just because I think that'd be kind of cool. But over here as well, then I'm going to push 4, really kind of thin that out. So it's just the slightest of hints. Like that. Okay. Back down here. And we'll switch to dry. Just kind of give that a little bit of a interesting. Bring that down some. I'm going to soften that a little more. It's getting a little too crazy. There we go. So I think that's going to tie together. We'll go ahead and do Control D. I'm going to come back up to these clouds. I may even go ahead and right click, go down to duplicate, and up just a little bit. Let's see if I like it. Actually, I'm going to reduce it some. There we go. Again, and merge layers. I'm going to go back to that watercolor brush, the same one. I'm going to select a few spots from here. Just kind of hit some of these with some highlight areas. That cloud in front of the other one. Along those lines. Hit 4. I just kind of blend this around a little bit. Just using circular motions. There we go. Just like so. There we go. All right. Something like that. I'm going to come up to this one. And again, just kind of soften some of these back edges. There we are. I'll pause this for a second and save this. Alright, so now we've got that in there. I think that looks pretty cool. We might come back and add a little bit other things to it as well. So we've got stars. Let's go ahead and label some of these real quick. So we've got stars. We've got Eclipse. We've got glow effects. And we've got clouds. Alright, So the only other thing I want to do is I thought maybe we could add some interest down here. And I just kind of want to do a little bit, maybe kind of a beach scene anyway. So something, let's see, maybe come up. Yeah, something like that. Okay. And hit enter to accept the selection. And I'm going to go with, on the sapphire, go a little bit darker, obviously. This, so that's going to bring some of that yellowish green into it. And we're going to fill that like so. And then we're a bit darker, like so. Now we're going to grab that wave stencil that we had. Change brushes real quick. And we're going to shift, bring it down, right click, a little bit more. So by squishing it like this, it gives us a different perspective, which is what I want. Open it up just a little bit. That. Now let's come in here and add some of that darker color. Like so. To get just a little bit of this color here. And I want it to blend with some of this other watercolor that we have on there, some of that blue. Like so. I'm going to hit 4. I'm just going to go back and forth. Like so. Alright, now I'm going to get rid of this stencil. And I've got the foundation for what I can use for my waves. Alright, and the 2 brush. Bring this down in size way down. And just kind of go back and forth. To feeling of cascading across. I'm going to grab a little bit of this whiter color. It's not exactly white, but it's close. And then I'm just going to kind of come through and add that in here and there. Like so. Okay. I'm going to put it on 4. I'm going to bring the opacity down. And let's bring the size up just a little bit. And I'm using these kind of figure 8 kind of a stroke. And I'm just kind of softening some of that. Because that stencil was built from a picture I had taken. And I'm just going to soften it out. Again, if you want to paint these, you're more than welcome to just sit here and paint these. But I like stencils because they save time. Painting waves is actually really fun. It just can be a little tedious, especially when you're trying to do a quick tutorial for people. I want to give you kind of the idea of what to try, not necessarily the... But it's literally just this figure 8 that will kind of set that back in there. And you want the majority of your bright stuff right here in the middle, because that's going to draw your eye up this way. Okay. And now I'm going to grab this little bit of a softer greenish yellow, and what I want to do is just kind of swoop this across, like so, and around, because I'm going to put a rock over here, like like so. So maybe this is the edge of the beach where you're going to get a little bit more of the... Go ahead and paint in a little choppy wave right here. Kind of like that. And maybe another one right here. Kind of like that. So not a real violent sea, just kind of a there, kind of see, you know, just a soft surf. Fade these out. Bring it over. Mush it up. Bring it over. And just kind of let it fade out. Like that. And let's take some of this and just kind of soften it around. Trying to stay fairly horizontal with this part. Like so. Okay. Control D. Now this is too rigid back here, so I'm going to push 4. And I'm just going to kind of come along the edges of it. And soften it. Ever so slightly. We can even take the blending one, come over here, press shift, come over here and touch. And then just kind of come along the edge there. Just kind of let it fade up. Like so. I'm going to put back to B, and I'm going to take some of that out, so I'm going to push 5. We'll come back along here and just kind of cut some of this out, and then go press N to come, N to come back to the blending brush, and then just soften some of this. You'll see how that kind of breaks it up and gives a little bit more of a cloud feel in the background. Okay, and then let's make a layer below this one. Press B again, and I'm going to put it on 1. Oh, duh. Got that set wrong. A bit of this here. Maybe some of this bronze dark. Just kind of laying this in here. Like so. Press N. And keeping these fairly vertical. Like so. And go back to my brush, press 5, get rid of where some of that overlaps. We're going to add another layer. We're going to grab a little bit of that highlight color again. This is what's blended down here because we want this to be kind of harmonized together. Put a little bit on top of that wave. And a little bit down here for some foam. Like that. Like that. Come along through here. Add a few lines. And this will be kind of somewhere the foam across. And you just kind of snake it back and forth. Come along the top edge of this wave. Like so. And then maybe out through here. Kind of fade that back a little bit. push 4. Just kind of soften some of that. Follow that wave over. Crash this into here. There we go. Now let's come back up here and grab a little bit of this really bright. Press 1. And then just kind of come along the tops. Catch a little bit of spray. Just a few spots here and there going back. And then just a few dazzle points on some of the foam. Press 4, kind of soften that a little bit. Like so. And a little over here. Let's put I want to put just the hint of an eye in here. My blending brush, bring that down. Capture some of that translucence. Like so. Maybe soften some of these a little more. There we go. And I think I'm going to come over here to the clouds real quick. Grab a little bit of this. I come down to here. Press 4. A little bit of this here. Come up in size a little bit. We can give those some quick texture. Just, again, spinning it, twirling it. Like so. Switch over to the blending brush. I just kind of blend that really well. Fade off on the sides a little bit. Drop down to the stars. Distance. Just really kind of merge those together. There we are. Something kind of like that. Soften those a little bit more. I think that's capturing some of that real ethereal. Because the last full eclipse I was in, it got really kind of weird looking, like all the colors were different and that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of bringing that some of that into this. I'm going to bring these two wave layers together. I can kind of play around with some of this. I don't have to necessarily worry about what layer I'm on. But yeah, it was really kind of cool the way the shadows danced across everything, and stuff just kind of took on a weird color and all that. It was just kind of ethereal, really neat. Where I'm at for this one that's coming up, I won't really be able to see too much of it. I think I might get partial, but it's actually looking like it's going to be overcast. So it's like, wah, wah. I mean, I guess I can take comfort in the fact I didn't go get an Airbnb for $500 a night just to find out that it's going to be overcast. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. I think we need just a little bit more of something in it. So let's add a couple of rocks. We'll just kind of freehand these in. Maybe one over here. Just kind of have it come off the side. I'm going to go to add to selection. We'll put one here. I think that'd be kind of cool. And maybe one here. And maybe another one here. Like that. Okay. I'm going to go to this, hit B. I'm going to come to here. Grab that, like so. Grab a little bit of this kind of color here, and just give a few quick swipes. Rock some texture. And maybe even, let's grab just a little bit of that yellow. That's a little too much. Let's go with maybe some of, I'm going to soften this to 4. There we go. Kind of mustardy look is kind of interesting. Something like that. Yeah, okay. And Shift Control I. And grab a little bit of this darker color we've got here. Bring that down, just straight down. And then go to 4. It's mostly vertical. Like that. Just gives a little extra interest. Control D. Back to the brush. And on 1, let's grab a little bit of this color. Just kind of have it come around the rocks. And just a little bit more little water feel. There we go. The tide's doing something weird. Who knows? I want to kind of sprinkle that color around a little bit because it kind of helps pull everything together. All right, so I think that's getting there. Let's come over here to the stars. And I want to add just a little bit more interest, so I'm going to go with something that you probably wouldn't really technically see. And I'm going to add a little bit of this, a little bit of this, like that. Go with 4. And just kind of blend all that on itself. That. We'll clean this up in just a second. This, I'm going to break this up a little bit with this texture one first. It's not going to select enough of it. And I'm going to hit the eraser. And I'm going to come in here, clouds. Really seat it behind them. Hit in again. Just kind of soften it so there's such a harsh edge. Really kind of soft. Come down here, the stars. Let's go with E for eraser. Let's bring that opacity way down. Throw some behind that a little bit. Oops, wrong layer. There we go. That's much more. I'll come over here to the Eclipse. I'm going to hit E again and push some of that back behind that cloud a little more. Back behind it a little bit. All right, and I think the only other thing I want to do is just come in here. I'm going to grab the brush again and just kind of throw in a few spots. Just here and there to kind of help pull some of this down here. Four. Glow in there. And soften this a little bit. Jump down here the waves and just kind of soften this. And then I'm going to grab B and color, and I'm going to turn this back on because it stayed where it was. I'm going to just ever so slightly come in from the sides and press 4. Stencil, backspace, and just kind of come across. I just want to kind of vignette this in here. Like so. So I want main texture to be right in this area and kind of again pointing up here to here and then just kind of going across. Let's soften that a little bit more. And maybe even add just a little bit more darkness to some of it. just that's going to really help fade some of it out. I'll just soften this a little bit more. Again, just that kind of weird glow kind of a feel. And I think that could work. Yeah. All right. I think we'll call it there. So I hope you enjoyed this one. It's just kind of a, fun play with lighting and everything, just to kind of give that ethereal kind of a feel and otherworldly, but yet still somewhat recognizable. Transition's a little smoother. There we go. All right, if you have any questions about it, just let me know. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.